We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Renewed push for peace in West Asia. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to travel to Egypt to push Gaza ceasefire and release of hostages negotiations forward with Egyptian officials. India slams remarks of Iran's supreme leader, says countries commenting on minorities are advised to look at their own record before making any observations about others. Hope of doctors returning to duties in Kolkata rise after West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee accepts demands of striking medicos. City Police Commissioner, 2 top health officials removed. And in sports, China's men's hockey team to take on defending champions India in the final of the Asia Champions Trophy 2024. On to the details now. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that enabling residents to return to communities in northern Israel that have been evacuated due to attacks by Hezbollah in Lebanon is now a goal of the conflict in Gaza. This comes a day after the country's defense minister said that the only way left to ensure the return of the northern communities will be via military action as Hezbollah continues to align with Hamas. Tens of thousands of Israelis have been evacuated after Hezbollah stepped up attacks on Israel. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will travel to Egypt on Tuesday to discuss a Gaza ceasefire and release of hostages with Egyptian officials. U.S., Egypt and Qatar are top mediators, aiming to broker a deal between Israel and Hamas. According to the State Department, Blinken will try to ensure a deal to help establish broader regional security. The biggest sticking points in the talks include Israel's demand to keep its forces in the Philadelphia corridor to maintain a buffer between Gaza and Egypt. An Israeli opposition leader, Yair Lapid, pushed for a hostage release deal as he met U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Washington.
Thank you for being here. I just finished a long meeting with Secretary Blinken. Before that, I met with the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, discussing the situation back home in Israel and the relations with the United States, and most importantly, the hostage deal that needs to be taken. Israel needs the hostage deal and the end of the war, and no political process or political turbulence should affect the hostage deal. We have to bring them back home.
Well, the 58-year-old man, Ryan W. Ruth, suspected of planning to assassinate Donald Trump, has been charged with 2 gun-related crimes in federal court. According to court documents filed on Monday, the suspect may have been lying in wait for nearly 12 hours, hiding in the bushes with a loaded SKS semi-automatic rifle. The Secret Service said did not fire any shots and never had Trump in his line of sight. Roth was arrested on Sunday after allegedly fleeing the crime scene and being held in custody on charges of illegally possessing a firearm with an obliterated serial number. U.S. Secret Service agents stationed on the golf course ahead of Trump opened fire on the suspect after they noticed the muzzle of a rifle sticking through a fence that lines the course.
We're here to announce that Ryan Wesley Routh, 58 years old, of Hawaii, has been charged by a criminal complaint in the Southern District of Florida with firearms offenses related to an incident which occurred yesterday at Trump International Golf Course right here in West Palm Beach. Roth was charged federally with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession and receipt of a firearm with an obliterated serial number.
Well, a Pakistani man with alleged ties to Iran pleaded not guilty to charges on alleged plot to assassinate an American politician in retaliation for the killing of Iran's Revolutionary Guard's top commander Qasem Soleimani. Asif Merchant entered his plea to one count of attempting to commit terrorism across national boundaries and one count of murder for hire at a hearing before U.S. magistrate judge. The judge ordered that Merchant be detained pending trial. Federal prosecutors say Merchant spent time in Iran before traveling to the United States to recruit people for the plot. The defendant named Donald Trump as a potential target but had not conceived the scheme as a plan to assassinate the former president. Court papers do not name the alleged targets and no attacks were made. There are no suggestions that Merchant was tied to an apparent assassination attempt on Trump. And a senior U.S. diplomat denounced racist attacks on Indian Americans after derogatory remarks were made recently about Vice President Kamala Harris's origins. In a rare remark on domestic U.S. politics, Richard Verma, Deputy Secretary of State in charge of management issues, did not directly mention the attacks on the Democratic presidential candidate, but his allusion was clear. Verma fifth the recent demonization of immigrants. Former U.S. ambassador to India was delivering an address on relations between the U.S. and India, saying both historically have advocated social justice for our most vulnerable populations. Far-right theorist Laura Loomer, who has been traveling with Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, recently wrote on social media that Harris would make the White House smell like curry if she won November's election. Loomer's closeness with Trump has drawn fire even from some hard-right Republicans. Trump has insisted that he does not control her comments and was unaware that she has spread September 11th conspiracy theories. And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni pledged cooperation on issues of migration and security during a news conference in Rome. Starmer said his talks with Meloni had helped in developing Britain's approach to tackling illegal immigration, which has increasingly become a focus of anger for some Britons. His meeting with Meloni following trips to Berlin, Paris and Dublin was also part of his attempt to improve ties with the European Union. Starmer also announced more than £500 million of investment in Britain by Italian companies, including defence firm Leonardo. Leonardo are involved in the GCAP fighter jet project, a joint venture between Britain, Italy and Japan. And Germany is expanding its border controls to the frontiers with all 9 of its neighbours to stop irregular migrants. It has sparked protest from other EU members. The border controls will be in place for an initial 6 months and are expected to include temporary structures at land crossings and spot checks by federal police. Poland and Austria have voiced concern. The EU says the bloc must only impose such steps in exceptional circumstances. Germany's Interior Minister Nancy Faeser on Sunday said that the step aimed to limit irregular migration and put a stop to criminals, identify and stop Islamists at an early stage. Border controls with Poland, the Czech Republic, Austria and Switzerland were already in place before the crackdown was announced. These will now be expanded to Germany's borders with France, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Belgium and Denmark. And campaigning for Sri Lanka's presidential election set for Saturday has reached a fever pitch, with candidates making their final push to attract the voters. The top contenders have been conducting meetings and rallies in various locations, tackling a variety of issues. Rabindran Chauhan reports for more.
Campaigning for presidential elections in Sri Lanka, scheduled for Saturday, has intensified, with candidates making final efforts to woo the voters. The front-runner candidates have been holding meetings and election rallies in various places, discussing on various issues.
இந்த மாதிரி எஸ்டேட்டுகளுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி காடாக இருக்குது, வர இளைஞர்மார்களுக்கோ யாருக்கோ வேலைகள் சரியாக கொடுக்கறதில்ல. வேலைகள் ஒழுங்காக கொடுத்து சம்பளத்துகளை கூட்டி கொடுத்தா வேலை செஞ்சு இந்த மாதிரி எஸ்டேட்டுகள் வந்து காடாகாது.
In 2022 there was a big riots. There were so many issues with the corruption of the leaders, the president. Somehow he brought the country to a stable position. So it's like this. So let's hope for the best what's going on.
As the incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe seeks a re-election as an independent, he is challenged by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa from the Samagi Jana Bala Vegaya and Anura Kumara Dissanayake from the leftist alliance of National People's Power. A lawyer who has served as Prime Minister a record 6 times, Wickremesinghe elected to serve out the rest of the 5-year term of Rajapakse, who was elected in November 2019. Wickremesinghe's party holds only 1 seat in parliament and will need to drum up support from key parties to bolster his chances. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, the son of assassinated former Sri Lankan President and Prime Minister Rana Singhe Premadasa, is seen as a frontrunner in the 2024 Sri Lanka presidential elections. Premadasa leads the Samagi Jana Bala Vegaya. His centrist, more left-leaning party has called for changes to the $2.9 billion bailout program with the International Monetary Fund and outlined plans to adjust some targets. Premadasa studied at the London School of Economics and entered politics after his father, President Rana Singhe Premadasa, was assassinated in a suicide bombing in 1993. Leader of the People's Liberation Front, Anura Kumar Dissanayake, is also among key presidential candidates. Despite holding just 3 seats in parliament, Dissanayake's promise of tough anti-corruption measures and better governance have given a popular boost to his candidacy. At rallies in Horana and Nuwara Eliya, Wickremesinghe emphasized his goal to alleviate public hardships and highlighted support from countries like India and Japan. He also defended his record on ensuring oil and gas supplies. Addressing a rally in the upcountry region, NPP candidate Anura Kumar Dissanayake highlighted the shortage of basic facilities like shortage of schools and teachers in the region. Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa at a rally in the north said a detailed poverty eradication program will be run by his government that will help people, including the pensioners. With many issues remained unresolved, the public is hopeful that the upcoming election will address these lingering concerns. Ravindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
And in the US, the Texas governor has announced new measures targeting the Venezuelan gang 20 Aragua during a news conference on Monday in Houston, Texas. Governor Greg Abbott said that he has ordered the Texas Department of Public Safety to launch a statewide operation specifically focused on TDA. This effort will involve a collaboration between DPS, federal and local law enforcement agencies through Texas anti-gang centers. Abbott also declared TDA a foreign terrorist organization. The governor also announced the allocation of over $100 million to support the Texas anti-gang centers over the next 2 years. And widespread flooding continues to batter Central Europe. The death toll from the floods that hit over the weekend rose to at least 16 on Monday, with 7 confirmed fatalities in Romania. Casualties were also recorded in Austria, the Czech Republic and Poland. In Czech, police deployed helicopters to rescue residents trapped in Ostrava city. Floods also affected city's industrial zone, including the Bosot Chem chemical plant and Okike Kokswavny coking plant. In Poland, the situation is grim, with the mayor of Nysa city asking all 44,000 residents to evacuate. Polish government announced a state of natural disaster in affected areas and said that it had set aside $260 million to help the victims. In Hungary, Budapest closed roads near the river Danube, which runs through the capital, citing the risk of flooding later this week. Locals and military personnel are building sandbag dams along the river as it is rising by about a meter every 24 hours. Although conditions have stabilized in some places, others are bracing themselves for more disruption and danger from the floods sparked by Storm Boris. Our news from around the world now. In a major setback to global fight against polio eradication, Afghanistan's Taliban government has suspended all polio vaccination campaigns across the country. Afghanistan and Pakistan remain the only 2 countries in the world where the spread of the paralyzing and potentially fatal viral disease has not stopped. A ban on new licenses on short-term rentals in Greece will affect 3 districts in central Athens for at least a year. Greece government also raised the tax on holiday lets. Tourism is a major driver of the Greek economy, but a housing shortage and has prompted the country to announce new plans. According to a nanoscience research by UK's University of Leicester, a new fluorescent nanomaterial consisting of silica nanoparticle could help forensic scientists reveal previously unseen fingerprints. The study also highlights that the new nanomaterial could bring to light crucial evidences in crimes that has until now remained invisible. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India Water Week 2024 begins today. President Draupadi Murmu will inaugurate the international event. Boeing is considering temporary layoffs to save cash during the factory workers' strike. And in sports, Indian men and women continue their winning rounds at the 45th FIDE Chess Olympiad.
The beloved leader of 1.4 billion Indians, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. On the occasion of his birthday, on 17 September 2024, watch a special presentation on some heard and unheard aspects of his life. People's Prime Minister on Tuesday, 17 September at 11 AM IST or 5:30 AM GMT, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Vipakshi Khurana, and moving on, India has slammed remarks of Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei on the Muslims in India. India's External Affairs Ministry denounced the Iranian leader's remarks, saying, "We strongly deplore the comments made regarding minorities in India by the Supreme Leader of Iran. These are misinformed and unacceptable. Countries commenting on minorities are advised to look at their own record before making any observations about others." And India and US held the 2+2 intersessional on Monday with officials from India's Ministry of External Affairs and Defense and the US State and Defense Departments. The officials of the Ministry of External Affairs and Defense and the US State and Defense Departments attended the 2+2 intersessional. Key discussions covered bilateral, strategic and defense priorities alongside regional and global issues. Early on September 13th, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman held a meeting with a delegation from the US International Development Finance Corporation here in the national capital. Discussions were centered on strengthening economic cooperation between both the sides, with a particular focus on investment opportunities in India. And hope of doctors returning to duties in Kolkata have risen after West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee accepted their demands of protesting doctors. After meeting with protesting doctors, Chief Minister Banerjee has announced the removal of the Director of Medical Education and the Director of Health Services, besides the Kolkata Police Commissioner. To tackle safety security measures in hospitals, a special task force headed by the Chief Secretary has been formed to address any future grievances from the doctors. Talking to media, CM Banerjee announced a rupees 100 crore allocation to improve infrastructure in state-run hospitals, including the construction of restrooms and bathrooms. This decision addresses one of the key demands of the protesting doctors. She has appealed to the doctors to return to work. Banerjee said no disciplinary action would be taken against the agitating doctors. The agitating doctors are on cease work across the state for 38 days since the gruesome alleged rape and murder of the postgraduate intern at RG Kar Hospital came to light on August 9th, crippling state-run healthcare delivery. And the Supreme Court of India is slated to continue hearing on Tuesday on the matter, where it has taken suo motu cognizance of the rape and murder of a junior doctor in the Kolkata hospital last month. A 3-judge bench headed by Chief Justice of India will consider the fresh status report of the Central Bureau of Investigation. The CBI on Saturday arrested Abhijit Mondal in connection with the ghastly rape and murder of a junior doctor. Mondal was in charge of the Tala police station when the body of the junior doctor was recovered from the seminar hall within the hospital premises on the morning of August 9th. Sandeep Ghosh, the former principal of RG Kar Hospital, who was earlier arrested by the CBI in the case of financial irregularities at the institution and is currently serving judicial custody, has also been shown as arrested in the rape and murder case. And 24 constituencies will go to polls in the first phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir on September 18, that is Wednesday, for which the campaigning ended yesterday, Monday evening. More than 14,000 polling staff expected to be deployed on duty for the first phase election. The voting will take place from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Also, the voting will continue even after 6 p.m. if voters' queue is still there at the polling station premises to exercise their right to vote. Besides, multi-tier security arrangements are in place to ensure free and fair polls, for which teams of the Central Armed Police Forces units, State Armed Police and State Police are deployed. The elections in the Union Territory are first since abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. The other two phases of elections will take place on September 25th and October 1st. The results will be declared on October 8th. And 8th India Water Week 2024 begins today with President Draupadi Murmu inaugurating the international event at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. Organized by the Department of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Conservation under the Ministry of Jal Shakti, the event will bring together water experts, students and industry representatives from both India and around the world. The program will run until 20th of September, focusing on water conservation and sustainable management solutions. Well, the nationwide campaign Swachhta Hi Seva is all set to begin from September 17th, marking another step in India's relentless march towards cleanliness and sanitation. This year, the campaign will encompass activities across the country, focusing on community participation to ensure a cleaner and healthier India. Here's more on what the campaign entails.
The Swachhta Hi Seva campaign, an extension of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, will be held from 17 September to 2 October 2024 across the length and breadth of India. This year's theme focuses on active public participation in making cities, towns and villages cleaner. The drive will engage local communities, schools, organizations and citizens to take up cleanliness activities, emphasizing the role of every individual in maintaining sanitation. From urban centers to rural villages, volunteers will be participating in cleaning drives, tree plantation programs, plastic waste management and awareness campaigns. This initiative will run throughout the upcoming weeks with a special emphasis on waste segregation at the source, proper disposal and recycling. Citizens can register themselves on Swachhta Hi Seva portal. The campaign not only aims to improve sanitation but also to inspire a sense of duty towards the environment. With such efforts, the vision of a Swachh Bharat is not far from becoming a reality. As the Swachhta Hi Seva campaign kicks off on September 17th, it's a call for every citizen to join hands in keeping India clean. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
And on to some business news now. Boeing plans to freeze hiring and reduce travel and is considering temporary layoffs to save cash during the factory workers' strike that began last week. Chief Financial Officer of plane maker company detailed 10 immediate cutbacks in a memo to employees. They include a freeze on hiring across all levels, pausing pay increases for promotions and stopping all travel that isn't critical. Additional cost-cutting moves spelled out in the Chief Financial Officer's memo included eliminating first and business class service for anyone who does travel and stopping spending on outside consultants. Boeing also plans to make significant reductions in supply expenditures and will stop most supplier purchase orders related to the 737, 767 and 777 airplane models. And TikTok faced off with the US government in federal court on September 16th, arguing a law that could ban the platform in a few months was unconstitutional. On the other hand, the Justice Department reiterated that the measure is critical to eliminate a national security risk posed by the popular social media company. You're watching DD India Live. Time now for some sports update. China will take on the defending champions India in the final of the Asian Champions Trophy 2024 on Tuesday. China men's hockey team made it to the final of the tournament after a win over Pakistan 2-0 in the penalty shootout after the full-time score ended at 1-1. Meanwhile, for India, the semi-final clash against South Korea was a one-sided affair which saw them taking the win with a 4-1 scoreline. India has remained unbeaten in the round-robin stage, whereas China has already lost 3 matches, making the visitors favourites to win the title for the 5th time. And India's men and women teams continued their impressive run as India posted victories at the 5th round of Chess Olympiad in Budapest. The second-seeded Indian men defeated Hungary 3-1 to maintain their unbeaten record. The 6th round saw Arjun Erigaisi registering his 6th win in a row. The world number 4 beat Selen Jurugov on the 3rd board, while Hungary's top-rated players Richard Rapport and Peter Leko held World Championship challenger D. Kukesh and R. Praganandana to draw on the top two boards. Arjun and Vidit won their games in dominating fashion to secure India a comprehensive victory in the 6th round. Meanwhile, the Indian women overcame Armenia 2.5 to 1.5. Dronawali, Harika and Vaishali Ramesh Babu had to share the point with lower-rated players, with Tanya Sachdeva also drawing with Anna Sargyan. Divya Deshmukh saved the day for India by defeating Alina Dalalian with white pieces on the 3rd board as India won the match on the top table. Tuesday will be a rest day as 5 rounds still remain in the tournament. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code at the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.